The Ryder Cup was meant to be about golf, but Bryson DeChambeau just turned it into a full-blown reality show. It all kicked off when his caddy clashed with Justin Rose on the 15th hole, and things spiraled fast. Players, caddies, even vice captains jumped into the chaos. Bryson fired back with a sharp comment about respect, leaving everyone wondering, was it pure passion or straight-up pettiness? Stick around because this rivalry is only getting messier. Before we get started, if you're a real golf lover, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and let us know in the comments who your favorite golfer is. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you even more amazing golf content. What started as an etiquette violation escalated into the most heated confrontation in recent Ryder Cup history.
Bryson's having to try and get a little go here.
Exposing fractures that extended far beyond one hole or one match. The incident itself seemed almost trivial. Greg Bodine, Bryson DeChambeau's caddy, accidentally stepped into Justin Rose's putting line on the 15th hole. In golf's unwritten code of conduct, this represents a serious breach. Rose's reaction was immediate and forceful, though he later admitted his tone may have been harsher than necessary. Bryson, never one to remain silent when he perceives injustice, immediately defended his caddy. What should have been a quick apology and acknowledgement transformed into something more confrontational as both men exchanged words while leaving the green. The temperature rose dramatically when Tommy Fleetwood inserted himself into the situation, positioning himself directly in Bryson's space in what appeared to be backup support for his European teammate. Meanwhile, a parallel conflict erupted nearby as Scottie Scheffler's caddy Ted Scott took exception to comments from Francesco Molinari, who was shadowing the match in his vice-captain role. Suddenly, what should have been a golf match had devolved into multiple simultaneous confrontations involving players, caddies, and team officials. The walk to the 16th tee felt less like professional athletes transitioning between holes and more like combatants regrouping between rounds. The atmosphere had shifted fundamentally. This wasn't about golf anymore. It was about respect, territory, and pride. By the time the groups reached the 16th tee, the confrontation had taken on theatrical dimensions. Rose had made his position clear. Fleetwood had provided visible support. Bryson was visibly frustrated, with witnesses describing his anger as palpable even from a distance. For several moments, golf's reputation for gentlemanly conduct appeared dangerously close to shattering completely. Scheffler attempted to maintain focus on the actual golf, but even he couldn't entirely ignore the drama surrounding his partner. Molinari, rather than staying neutral in his official capacity, actively engaged in the verbal exchanges with Ted Scott. The fans sensed the tension immediately, with every gesture and glare amplified by thousands of spectators waiting to see if the situation would escalate further. When Rose and Fleetwood ultimately won the match on the 16th hole, the traditional handshake exchange carried none of golf's usual sportsmanship. Rose later attempted to downplay the incident, offering qualified apologies and insisting there was no malicious intent. But Bryson's body language suggested he wasn't ready to accept those explanations and move forward. The confrontation had transcended etiquette. It had become about pride, competitive intensity, and sending messages that extended beyond the immediate match. The crowd at Bethpage Black deserves recognition as a major factor in this drama. New York golf audiences have earned reputations for aggressive support that often crosses into hostile territory. And this Ryder Cup exceeded even those notorious standards. American fans heckled, jeered, and mocked every European action, creating an atmosphere more reminiscent of aggressive sporting events than traditional golf. Team Europe, rather than wilting under this pressure, seemed to gain energy from the hostility. Fleetwood and Rose leaned into the crowd's negativity, hitting clutch shots and responding with expressions that conveyed both defiance and confidence. They appeared to be drawing strength from the very environment designed to undermine them. The tension between Bryson and Rose may have originated with the caddy's misstep, but the crowd's intensity acted as accelerant on smoldering conflict. The Europeans recognized that every American failure would intensify the home crowd's frustration, and they seemed determined to exploit that dynamic. By day's end, Europe held a commanding 11.5 to 4.5 lead heading into the final day. The fans had deployed every psychological weapon at their disposal, and rather than crumbling, Europe had weaponized the hostility into competitive advantage. This raised uncomfortable questions. Did Bryson's frustration stem primarily from Rose's words, or from watching Team USA disintegrate in front of its own supporters? What began as a brief reprimand evolved into an extended verbal confrontation that echoed across Bethpage Black. Bryson, known for both powerful drives and powerful opinions, refused to accept Justin Rose's tone or approach. Rose, equally stubborn, declined to soften his position significantly. Tommy Fleetwood's decision to involve himself transformed a two-person disagreement into something larger and more complex. Add Molinari's exchanges with Ted Scott, and suddenly multiple conflicts were occurring simultaneously. It resembled a courtroom without a judge rather than a golf match. Just competing narratives and escalating tensions. Each participant was convinced the other side had violated important boundaries. Each caddy believed they were defending sacred principles. The irony was that both Rose and Bryson made par on the hole where the confrontation occurred. Their actual golf performance completely overshadowed by the conflict surrounding it. When journalists later asked Rose about the heated exchange, he attempted to characterize it as intense but respectful. The gap between that description and what observers witnessed revealed the difficulty of acknowledging how far things had actually escalated. Words had become weapons, and nobody emerged from the situation without damage. When U.S. Captain Keegan Bradley addressed the incident afterward, his comments suggested deeper concerns. He acknowledged the situation felt disrespectful, though he tried to smooth things over by noting Rose's subsequent apology. But once respect becomes questioned publicly in golf, a sport where etiquette and sportsmanship are fundamental values, the accusation carries lasting weight. Bryson's decision to defend Bodine wasn't merely about loyalty to his caddy. It represented establishing boundaries about acceptable treatment of team members. Europe, conversely, viewed Rose's reaction as justified intensity consistent with Ryder Cup competition. Molinari later minimized the incident, characterizing it as typical competitive fire. But fans weren't dismissing it so easily. Social media erupted with video replays, speculative interpretations of the exchange, and endless debate about who was right. Respect wasn't just questioned, it became the dominant narrative, overshadowing the actual golf being played. When respect becomes the headline rather than performance, the original context, shots, putts, scores, fades into background noise. What remains is conflict, immortalized through digital media and endless commentary. This was supposed to be Team USA's redemptive moment on home soil, an opportunity to halt Europe's recent dominance. Instead, the weekend became a demonstration of dysfunction. By Saturday's conclusion, Europe had surged ahead 11.5 to 4.5, leaving Americans facing nearly impossible odds for Sunday's comeback. The feud between Bryson and Rose wasn't merely a sideshow distraction. It became symbolic of everything problematic about Team USA's performance: frustration, ego clashes, internal conflict, and a home crowd that failed to rattle European composure as hoped. Meanwhile, Europeans relished every moment of drama, converting jeers into motivation and confrontations into momentum. Rose's qualified apology may have officially closed the matter, but Bryson's continued frustration told a different story. The Ryder Cup had transcended pure golf competition. It had become about rivalries, grudges, and fundamental divisions. Whether or not Team USA mounted any kind of miraculous Sunday comeback, the enduring image wouldn't be a crucial putt dropping or a trophy presentation. It would be players and caddies confronting each other, exchanging words sharper than any golf shot, as the Ryder Cup's traditional spirit fractured publicly. This wasn't just golf competition. It was theater, conflict, and personal drama. And the confrontation might outlast the tournament itself in collective memory, defining how this Ryder Cup is remembered far more than any score or statistic ever could.